guys, Luxker here. Welcome to the finale of the KOS-MOS figure tier list that I'm doing with Watte. If you haven't watched the previous figure tier list videos, I suggest that you do that right now, because we will be covering a lot of really great figures, and a couple of duds. But we will get to them later. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell to be notified on Xeno series videos coming in the future. With that out of the way, let's finish it all up! Next up is... oh yeah, this one is really cool. So this one is the V4 altar figure.
Freaking S tier.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be honest, S tier. This is one of the better looking altar figures that have ever been released by them. But like you said about the discoloration issue with these figures in general, but this one has like a unique stand to it. It just comes with a gun attached to her, and it looks awesome, really. The pose just looks awesome too. It just makes her so action focused. And I just like that for that reason, so...
yeah, I mean, it's really hard. It's probably like my favorite figure of every single like KOS-MOS figure, and it's only because like version 4 has always been a design that just looks really good.
Yeah, and the right places.
Yeah, and so it just sort of feels like, especially this figure, the scale of it, the quality of it. This one, it's so hard because like with any KOS-MOS figure, when they make her hair lighter like that, like even though they're both S tier, it's the same thing with like we talk about the discoloration, and the problem is I don't know if it's the materials back then, or I don't know if it's just the hair color, but like the Xenoblade KOS-MOS Re, obviously darker hair wouldn't have as much issue with that. This one doesn't have much issue with it either, but I mean, I do see some people who put them out and they do have a little bit of that issue, but that could just be mishandling, because I don't really see the inconsistency of it. But it's hands down, like there's a Telos one that we don't have on the list today because we're only doing KOS-MOS, but there's a Telos one that connects to it, and they both connect with the stands on the bottom. So that's really cool. Like, it's just really cool that it's like the pinnacle of like episode 3 figure. They just look so good together. So
no, I can't agree more. This is the most well-articulated altar figures, and just KOS-MOS figures in general. I would love to own one of these figures someday, but you know how expensive altar figures are in general nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's like, god dang it. I would like to own one of these, but I'll just stick with the 3 swimsuit figures that I have just sitting there. But yeah, Altar makes some really great figures. They just have an issue with some of the older figures having some discoloration to them, so I hope I can track one down one of these days and display it, so...
I lucked out because I had a friend in Japan who his friend was like moving his store, clearing it out or something, and he had 2 of these that were open box, and I got them for like 40 each, and I gave them...
Yo, what?
Yeah, and I gave them to, because it's a friend of a friend, and so I gave them to Momoka and Anel, and that's how they got theirs, because they'd always wanted it. That was like their holy grail figure, and like we were friends, and so I sent it to both of them, so they both have it now too, so we all have the same figure. But I was like, it just like, sometimes you get really lucky because like Japan has very limited space, right? Because like it's a smaller country, and just in general they have like space. So when people move or change or do stuff like that, sometimes you can find crazy stuff like that. But yeah, that'll always be a memory for me because I couldn't believe that was like the price.
You lucked out so hard, man.
So,
you
like,
really did.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I took them both, and then I ended up sending it to them. So, but it's hands down. It's just if you can own one, that's it.
I would especially love to see it in person one of these days too.
It's quite something, like sculpting on it and everything, like the hairlines and everything.
Yeah,
because like the hairlines, you could only see the lines of the hair because of like shadows from like natural light. So like it's really hard to describe because like with any figure it's molded, but the way that the hair is done is just like you could only see the shape of it if you have light in there. If you like had no light, you know, like I mean obviously not dark like a dark room, like you can't see anything, but what I'm saying is like you can see the shape of the hair so well. It's crazy. Anyway, that's hands down my favorite. So
for sure,
all of them. So
next one is the V4 All Mech Figma. Let me get a screen grab from the MyFigureCollection website. And I don't know if you own this figure though.
I do. I do own them. The problem is I own a lot of them, but the problem is I haven't bought spares of them. So like the goal for me is to first buy whatever best condition one I can find, and then if I buy more than one, then I'll generally open the ones that aren't as good, because like I'm trying to be as picky as possible in curating like the collection to preserve. So like sometimes I'll have like Motion Revive. I have a Motion Revive Telos, but I didn't take a picture of it because like I have one that's sealed. So like a lot of these I do have. It's just like I don't open them unless I have a second,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that tends to be, yeah. It's a little daunting though, because like now that I think about it, like having out in display and then having them like put away is like a lot of space. It takes a lot of space.
Yeah.
I try not to, but
yeah, they really do. Oh, it's made by Alter actually. So its classification is just all mech, but it is made by Alter.
I mean, it sort of is just, it looks beautiful, but it's just sort of like...
I like it, actually. Yeah. For an Alter Figma, this is definitely something. Not like it's you can definitely pose it. Yeah, it's got a lot of it, actually. Wow.
Yeah. It's really good. The only thing I hear about is because the stand is flimsy, it's very hard to, like, pose it, but it's got the same base as like the other Alter. See the smaller hexagonal
Yes,
base?
I do, yes.
Yeah. So it's got the similar base as their larger scaled figure. I like it, but it's just like people just say it's hard to hold up. But I mean, if you have it stationary like that, like the one floating off of the floor is obviously
it's harder to do. The honeycomb stand looks nice though.
Yeah.
I might actually rank this higher. Man, this looks really nice. When I looked at it, I was put off a little bit, but this is actually kind of nice. Alter really does some nice stuff.
Yeah, the hair pieces are fantastic for the Alter. It just looks so, I don't know. I've always enjoyed. It's hard because I don't like Figmas all the time because of the joint placements, but this just looks good. Like I don't know, they did a really good job at hiding like those joint issues that I always have with Figmas, so that's why I like it. But
yeah, I think I'm putting this at high A tier, probably like right here. I think this looks fantastic. I just think like what you said about the Figmas and the joint issues and stuff like that, and I feel like this looks kind of simple really just from looking at it. It's just a basic pose, and you can pose it in different ways. I think there are other KOS-MOS figures that do its job better. Well, the next one definitely does its job better. Do you have anything else to say about this one at all?
Not really. I mean, the only thing is the packaging is it's definitely larger than it needs to be, but it's like a giant square. But the packaging is beautiful, is like spot on beautiful. Like, cause it's got like a silhouette over on the front with the Zohar. Then like you flip it open and it's like got the window. It's like, like a traditional.
That
like,
looks nice, actually.
Yeah, like Play Arts Kai type thing where they have a window where like you flip the flap open and there's like a Square Enix type figures. But yeah, it's definitely, the packaging on it is pretty cool.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So alright, so next up is one of the best looking action / model kit figures that you can even find, and this is the V4 from Max Factory. And I think this is an S tier Figma. What do you think?
I think it's up there, yeah. It's so Figmas are hard to describe to people because when you say Figma, it's like they have like this predetermined image of like what they are, and like it's really awesome to see.
Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. It's definitely shocking when you look at a Figma and you're like, wow, it doesn't. It makes me think of something different. You know what I mean?
This looks awesome. I like what Max Factory did with this KOS-MOS figure in particular. I think this looks different from the Alter one. Her face is more realistic looking and her hair is nice as well. There is a ton of different things you can do with the pose I have seen too. It just looks awesome. I would love to own one of these someday too, just to see really what else you can do with it.
I like that pose the best, the one with the Gatling, the double Gatling. Just because it reminds me of episode 1. It's just nostalgic.
Yeah, episode 1, yeah, I agree too. This one looks nice too. I like this one. They did a lot here. This one looks great too.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a lot of different kinds of poses with this one, and I feel this is different from the other Figmas in general that you can't display here. Like, that is just so nice in that regard.
I like when they give options and stuff too.
Oh, for sure. This one looks incredible. That one looks nice. Dang, I want to own one of these someday. Yeah, I definitely say this is an S tier figure. Probably like a low one, but just... I really like this a lot more than the Ultra one. Just as a way of displaying it in general and to just show what KOS-MOS can do in general.
Yeah, I think the point of Figmas is exactly what you said, is like...
Yeah, the entire
off,
point.
Yeah, showing off like, you know, something in motion. You know, like it stands still, but it looks like it's moving, you know?
Right, and Max Factory did a wondrous job with that, so... Alright, next up is another trading figure again.
I'm wanting to say...
Why? What's up?
Yeah, I'm wanting to say, I don't know if there's a... Oh, well, I was thinking, I don't know if there's a... If this is the... If they're all part of the same set or not. I'm trying to remember. Because I think they are.
Yeah, there's one with the black stand and these two with the white stand one.
Oh, okay,
I think the only difference is the color of their
helps.
eyes, but I don't know. I like the look of both of these. I think they're really decent. I think they are better than the already decent V1 figures, right? They got a really sassy pose too. I like how KOS-MOS just stands on that black pedestal in general. I think they did a pretty good job of showing her off for this trading figure in general. But what is really special about this one in particular is that this is the only time in the Xeno series that KOS-MOS has pink hair in any kind of merchandise.
Yeah.
And this trading figure especially is very rare. One of the rarest ones in the trading set. So this is immediately striking in general.
Yeah. I mean, part of that too, it's the secret rare, so I don't know if the others have a secret rare slot, because it's been so long, like it's like I haven't even recall from memory, but this one specifically, it comes in the best set. But I know at one point it was a secret rare where like you would have to pull it, so you would buy like a I guess they would call them a display now, where essentially it's like a box of like 6 of them or something, or 12, whatever the size is. I think it's like 9. But like the last box is always like either a dupe or, you know, the secret rare or a duplicate of something. You know how those blind box type things work. But like you have to pull that there. But I think the best set already has it in the set. But even then, like it's weird because people will sell the set and they won't have that. So the rare set is the best, and the reason why is because it's hard to find a full box of it. Like it just doesn't exist, like especially these last few years. So like finding it is a hassle, let alone finding a full set. But it's hard because like I can't recommend not buying them because you don't have a full set, because they are hard to find in general. The best set is, but at the same time it's like people won't sell that on its own, so usually you have to buy it in a set, so because they know it's the rarest one. But like I had somebody who I was talking to in a Discord who did manage to get one from Europe. It was a few months back. Somebody was only selling that individual one, and I told them to scoop it up, and they did. But like that's the only time I've ever seen it like by itself. So, but yeah, it's wacky color. I think it's pretty cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think my only complaint with it is that if you look really closely, there is a copyright logo on the hair, and I don't know how I feel about that. And if you look at a specific angle, you can look at the copyright logo on the hair, and it just looks really off-putting.
Yeah,
especially on the pink one. It's like, I want to like these, but copyright logos on the hair are just like, why?
NBGI right on the back of her, on the hair on the back of her. Gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree. That's a little, you know. I mean, I guess I don't know. There's no way to really. You could probably scrape it because it's a pure printed plastic. So I'm sure you could scrape it off and it would be like, or take like one of those X-Acto knives and like cut slightly and then sand. I don't know. You could probably remove it, but I mean, who wants to do all that? You know.
Just people just not want to have this showing off. It's just so distracting.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, they're just decent figures. I like the pose, and I think they're the better trading figures in general out of this set.
Yeah.
Next one is the V3 KOS-MOS figures that are the only training figures there are. These look really good, just as a decent figure in general. I think the only problem with them, though, I think there are two different figures and one of them has a different pose than the other. Actually, no. It's because of the series they're in, right? I think this is the second series, I think.
One is Legends 1, which is the one with the hand up. The other one is a part of, it's like a capsule series, which is a smaller one. So yeah,
okay.
They're both from two different series, but like the one with the arm up is like smaller than the other one, the black one. But there's actually I don't know if we have it. We might not have it pictured because there's another white stand one. There's two. There's a white stand one in the same pose as that one. So there's like two of the white ones, and then there's like one that's the larger. It's hard to tell scale though, because like when you take a picture, unless you look at the stand and you notice the stand color, then it's pretty much the same figure, just at a different scale. So
I think there are a couple problems with these figures. The train figure that is from HGIF, I believe.
Yeah,
that one looks ugly looking, I believe.
They all have issues with painting, and it was so hard. Like the ones that I preserved, like I got so many of them because like I was trying to look for some that have good paint jobs. So the ones that I preserved luckily have like amazing paint jobs, but it's very hard to find them with like decent paint jobs. Like I think the one coming up next, if you look at the skirt, like eventually if you look at it, there's like chipping on the paint. Like it's like so hard.
No.
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, like that's just the one I have on display, so I don't care.
HGIF,
but like
I believe.
it's the HGIF ones that they're like capsule toys too. Like the painting on them isn't great, you know.
That's a shame though.
Yeah, it is. Because that's
the one has the paint job, and the next one is the stands. Both of the V3 stands are just kind of awkward looking, especially like the HGIF one. It looks so noticeable just looking at it like that. I know it's supposed to hold it up, but I think this is just too much. I would say
there are a lot of the HGIF ones or HGIF ones. They're like they all have structural issues, so they have like these big stands to them, so they can't. None of those can stand on their own. Like if you took them out and just stood them on there, none of them could stand. I think.
Wow.
I think maybe one of them can stand, and I think that's one of the KOS-MOS one there that's coming up is the only one I think that can stand, but all the others they can't do it because they're all leaning.
Dang.
Like Momo has a leaning one and Shion has a leaning one, so like they're all leaning, so it's like they can't. Even the version 3 one is like a little like not, you know.
Yeah, I just think this is an issue with mass manufacturing. You just have these structural issues and it just hurts these figures in general. Maybe I can. Yeah, I'm just going to put this in D tier, but these aren't the most structurally sound. There are a few things I like about it that I like, but I just can't put it any higher, so. And then let's go back to the other figure made by Figuremeister. This one looks a lot better structurally sound. The only problem with it is the stand. It's just this big old glob of jelly kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They could have chose something like a better stand like the other Figuremeister figures. And like the V2 pose, I don't really get why she is holding her hand like this. It looks kind of
It's weird because like with the version 2, her hand's straight forward, right? But like with the version 3, her hand is elevated. So yeah, I get that because I feel like the position of the arm is more off-putting than the position of the arm on version 2, so I see where that's, you know, I see where that's an issue. And sadly it's like only one of the very few version 3, which I happen to like version 3. Yeah.
Yeah, if you know me, I don't like V3 KOS-MOS, but this figure in general is just decent. But it has a lot of issues I don't really care for. Yeah. It's a lot of the trading figures in general. They go from decent to just downright, I don't like it a lot. Like the V2 one, for instance, so.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, so let's get to the V4 HGIF figure. Yeah, like you said, it is very awkward looking. Like, I can definitely see the chipping on the paint right here in the stand. Yeah, this is just a D tier figure in general. Poor HGIF with their mass manufacturing issues, just creating these weird anomalies of how a figure should look. And I know they are doing the X-Buster thing with one of those poses, but it looks kind of off-putting. She just looks so sad in this figure, too. Like, KOS-MOS doesn't want to be in this form and fashion, you know?
She's like, who painted me so horribly? And all depressed about
Yeah,
it.
it's just so bad. It's just so depressing.
Yeah.
And you already talked about it a little bit, so let's go ahead and move on.
Yeah.
This next one, I believe, is another Namco Cross Capcom figure, right?
Yeah, these are the Eugene, Y-U-U-G-I-N figures of Namco Girls.
Oh, Namco Girls, yep.
Yeah. I really like them. They're really fragile though. Like it's really hard because they don't stick together well, but they're gorgeous. Like, they're stunning looking. Like, but the problem is like there's so many tiny pieces. Like, literally, I think they're maybe like 2-3 inches tall. Like, it's really small, so I can see how they had problems with like the connecting pieces, because it connects together, but like the head piece is like on a ball joint. There's basically a head joint, and you put the back piece on behind the ball and the front face on the front of the ball, and they snap together on the ball so that the hair is, the head can move. But it doesn't stay together very well. But they're
darn.
Yeah, they're really nice looking, but they're just really like hard to keep together. They're probably some of the most difficult out of all these figures. Yeah, but they're if you don't move them, they are like amazing. Like,
yeah, they're really stunning looking.
Yeah.
It's a really unique pose for KOS-MOS figures in general. The only issue I have with it is the arms look really skinny. Like, they just look super skinny looking to me.
Mm-hmm.
The hair looks nice. The weapons look nice, though.
Yeah.
And I like how they are very poseable, too. How much does this go for?
Those are actually pretty hard to find. I know Telos, because it's been... The problem with the figures is, like, sometimes I'll check prices only because, like, I'm looking in general, but I don't seek them out if I already have them, But I think last I checked was, like, a year ago. I know Telos was going for, like, 75-ish. And then these were around like 40 or 60 a piece, but they're really small, so that's really pretty expensive for capsule toys. Yeah, that's pretty pricey.
Sucks.
It's like a Nendoroid pricing, but like for like really small scale capsule toys. So they're gorgeous. Like, absolutely pick them up if you want them. I just think if you want them to stay together, well, you might like want to glue them or something. I don't, just because like I don't want to, but I mean, for stability reasons, but they're great. They're just rather expensive for what they are. I think probably the more expensive stuff is our S tier, obviously our S tier stuff, and our A tier stuff. The B tier is semi-expensive depending on which one you get, but I mean, generally Xeno figures aren't so much expensive as they are just hard to find. Honestly, it's
sure.
Interesting. I don't understand that. Like I said, it's a little confusing of a concept that if it's hard to find, it's it's still inexpensive. That's the Happy Net one. So I don't really get the correlation of that. But it could just be that it's more readily available domestically and just maybe not a lot of international shippers. So that might be the reason why it's hard to find it. But I don't know, but yeah.
All right, and finally we have saved the best figures for last.
Gosh, this is like my holy grail.
Oh yeah, every freaking Xeno fan's holy grail is the Volks figures. Okay, I'm just saying. These are like what I can what can I say about them? These are like Xeno series statues everyone wants. They are extremely tall. They're like 1.5 feet tall for one thing.
Yeah.
And everything about it is extremely well detailed. Let's start with the stand with the steel kind of look to them. And you got the details on the clothing too, and her hair especially, and the pose she is holding with the Gatling gun. And especially that freaking dragon tooth, which is extremely well done. How they even fit a gigantic sized weapon on this figure, I have no idea. And it's like twice as tall as the figure itself. So you would need a huge amount of space to have that dragon tooth be posed as it's supposed to.
I struggle so hard with this figure because it's like it's so expensive and like
it's incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
It's like luxury stats to even own one of these.
I mean, the thing is that the presentation is very cool though, because it comes in a box that on the outside of it, it says it's from the factory that Shion and Hakase work from, like the factory, and on the actual the box is actually printed like a factory box from that factory, and on the outside it says designed by Shion Uzuki, and they say Hakase, which is pretty funny in English, but like, the professor.
Yep.
And then it has like a model number on it and everything, like, and then inside is the actual like box of the figure and everything. It's really super ultra fancy.
Yes,
cool. Like
I
would want to save like the outside of the box, but it's just like I said, Volks doesn't ship internationally, so to get this, either you have to find somebody who does have it, which the problem with that is that they don't keep the outside Shion Professor box, which is like you basically just get it in a standard box, which is sort of a bummer. Because like me personally, I'd want the whole presentation, but also because of the size, it's expensive to ship. But Volks won't. You have to go in person to buy these. They still have them, and they produce them every so often. Like if you go to the store there, I know they're out of stock currently. But it's just they're so big that they're just so heavy that it's just like,
Yeah, you can't even ship it internationally because of how huge they are.
Yeah.
This is a garage kit, right? But it is pre-painted?
No. Yes and no. So Volks garage kits are more like, think of them as like underground or festival by individual artists. Technically it does come in a grayscale, like a garage kit. Like it can come unpainted, but there's painted and unpainted versions. But this is different because Volks they do stuff like KOS-MOS Dolphy, which we don't have the Dolphy listed here, but they do like really high quality figures. So while it comes in pieces, technically it's a scale figure. They just had to piece it out because of the size, but it's an official figure. So it's not like garage kits are more like unofficial per se, like done by individual independent artists.
Oh, yeah.
But this is an actual official like scaled figure. This one and Telos are, but it's just the cost is high because it's pre-painted or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a figure
really
that's
awesome. There's
nothing better than this figure. Like there's nothing, at least for Xenosaga, there's nothing better yet than this figure. But it's also depending on how you buy it.
This is just Xeno figures in general. So
MSRP I think is around $550, but like if you usually it goes around 7 or 8 with shipping and everything. So it's about $1,000 figure, give or take. That's why it's not that I don't want to pursue that. I'm obviously crazy enough to pursue that, but the problem is my goal is to preserve as much as possible. And with a high-end figure like this, it's less likely to be sold out because it's so expensive than the lower end figures that will sell out because they're less expensive. So when I started my collection, I tried to buy all the less expensive figures because those will eventually, like, people toss them or they age, or people don't keep them because they think, oh, it's cheap, so it's just easily replaceable. But some of them have gotten to the point of where they are expensive, like those Yujin ones that are $7 or $80 a piece, because people didn't preserve them because they're like, oh, these are just cheap little capsule toys. So like preservation in the sense of like cheaper stuff is harder than the more expensive stuff, which is pretty crazy. So this, I can still go online, and if I want to pay out the whatever amount, I can just go and buy it, right? But like the smaller scaled stuff are harder because it's just like so many people have run through so many copies, and whatever was made, and once they're gone, they're gone. So that's why I haven't jumped on the larger figure yet, because it's gonna be there. So
okay. Yeah, your collection is spectacular, like I keep saying, Watte. Yeah, that should be it for the tier list. I think we were pretty consistent with our rankings with the both of us. I think you would put the swimsuits in D tier, though. I don't think you talked about the V2 trading figures as much, but personally, I think those figures are not the best. The C tier figures are not good, but have some cool stuff to them. B tier is decent in general figure-wise, nothing special, but there are some special stuff about them that haven't been really talked about as much. A tier has great figures just in general. Everything about them has something special to them that is desirable to a lot of people. And then S tier is just the excellently made figures that I definitely want in my collections.
Yeah,
so...
mine's pretty similar to yours. I sent it to you just to show you in the Discord, but it's essentially, it's pretty much very similar. I think we know what is quality and what's not as far as figures. I mean, the thing is that's what there is, so it's like but it's pretty surprising how many figures. A lot of people tell me, I'm so shocked to know that there's that many figures for Xenosaga, like, because like Blade and the other games don't have as many, and so I don't think it's odd, because back then when the game first came out, it was very niche and it wasn't as popular. Like, to like it for some reason was like not as cool, right? And then here we come like 17 years later, and like the Xeno series is like exploded, and there's so many people who enjoy it, and I love that. But it's like a mixed feeling for me, because it's like it's like I'm really glad that it came into its own, because I didn't want it to be lost and stuff. And I think that's partly why I collect all of this stuff more than any series, and why this collection has grown so big is because I think it has a very good message, a very strong message. It doesn't get, people used to call it pretentious. I don't think that's what it is. I think that it's about, relationships and lessons, and reading in between the lines, and finding value in things, and having different perspectives. There's so much to this series, and I feel like everybody can relate to it in their own way, as to where some series people can't find any connection. I can guarantee you in the Xeno series, if you take the time, even as a new person, to get into it, you're gonna find one way or another to relate to somebody, any character in the series. And I think that's what makes it so special, is that it speaks to so many people from so many different walks of life. And I think a lot of people are now ready, because I think back then Xenosaga and Xenogears were ahead of its time. And I think people have come to sort of grow into it now and understand it better. And that I'm grateful.
We are glad for it. Yeah. Well said, Watte. So Watte, where can we find you at?
Oh boy. So on YouTube, it's Watte, W-A-T-T-E TV. I've been on YouTube for 10 years, 11 years now. And then on Twitch, same username. And on Twitter, there is WATTE_TV. So pretty much I try to keep my name consistent across everywhere if you find me, but usually you'll find me on Twitch. YouTube is more like a figure gallery / VODs, but it just sort of varies. Fighting games and RPGs are usually what I put on the internet, but I play everything. I play so many games that, like, yeah, if you talk to me about any video game, I'm pretty sure we'll have a good conversation. So, but you can find me there. And in the, all the different Xeno Discords, I'll be lurking around,
Yeah, I will be lurking around Xeno Discords too. And definitely check out Watte's Discord server, which I will have in the description of this video too. This is mainly where Watte shows off his content and stuff, and we chat there once or twice sometimes, though it has been extremely quiet lately, but we definitely would welcome new members too, so definitely check out his Discord server on top of that. Anyways guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and definitely check out my other Xeno series content, including a Xeno series figure discussion that I'm doing with Watte, along with other content that I will be posting for the rest of the year and into 2024. Then, till next time everybody, see you on the other side!